Scott, it's wonderful to meet you, sir. Thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
I'm giving you my 30 minutes.
I love it. Where are you at on the planet?
I'm in Ajijic, which is in central Mexico, south of Guadalajara.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. So before we get into your life and your world, I want to know probably one of the biggest things that we've had to deal with in our lifetimes is this pandemic. How much of living through that pandemic has sent ripples into your world and what you're doing today in 2025, this new year?
Awesome. It's changed my life. I was forced to get a part-time job working things I hate, which is like data entry for a company called Man Cave America. And the boss eventually got to know me and read one of my previous books and said, "You're a really good writer." And I'm really curious about matters that affect men, masculinity, and I'm going to give you some topics to write about and see what you come up with. Well, that turned into a book. So he published a book called Mindful Masculinity, a book for men and the women who love them. And really, my job shifted from data entry, customer service, answering the phone, to writing and then promoting the book, going on podcasts. I'm being paid by the hour. And if it wasn't for COVID, that book never would have been written. I never would have taken on mindful masculinity. Look at my biceps.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, what a serendipitous thing to happen during such a tumultuous thing. I mean, the stars had to align in the right way, right?
I don't know about the stars, but I know that I've been purposeful. I've been in touch with my mission, my longing to make a difference. And ever since then, I've been taken care of in a sense, financially and other ways, because there is a sense if you do God's business, God will take care of your business.
Sure.
And if you're an atheist, you can translate that to mean, if you are in service, then your basic needs are going to be met. That's kind of what Jesus meant when he said, what did he say? uh, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things, your basic needs will be added, which is exactly the opposite of what Maslow and most of the world thinks. Got to take
Right.
care of your basic needs first, then you can, look for love and spirituality and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, I totally get it. So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do right now in 2025 on a daily basis. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of kids, third graders, career day. One of the kids in the back of the room is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" What's your answer?
Oh, kids, I love that question. It's a little complicated because I do a little comedy. I actually do children's concerts. I speak to adults in a private coaching practice and help them. I I go on podcasts and promote books. I do so many things, and some of them make me money. So, in my worldview, the days of having a monogamous relationship with your career are can be over. Like you don't have to think about, oh, I have to, find the love of my life, the one career that is going to bring in the bacon or the tofu and make me happy and give me meaning. Yeah, that can happen, but for many of us, it's a multifaceted, multidimensional world, and so I get to play in a lot of arenas. Sometimes my inner child is alive and well and creating Dr. Seuss type poetry. And sometimes my adult is helping guide somebody through trauma to a place of peace in a one-on-one coaching session.
What did you want to be when you were a kid? What was your dream life?
Fireman, ice cream man, uh, it switched day to day, really. I played around in my imagination.
Yeah, no, that's great. And those two could actually work together. I mean, what if the fire department had ice cream, right?
Yeah.
Just get up there and take care of it because you need something at that point, probably if something like that's happening. Um, so how did these foundational elements of comedy, creativity, being a writer, being a musician, being obviously an entrepreneur, how did all of these things get sewn and seeded into you to evolve into who you are today?
Well, first primary commitment was workshops, therapists, coaches, all my money that I was making, I was putting into my personal growth. Then I started writing songs that had to do with personal growth. Many of them were humorous, and I began putting on concerts. And mostly I was known for my sort of personal growth comedy songs. I can give you a little taste if you like.
Please.
Okay. Some of them are parodies of other of songs that are famous, and I'm concerned. I want to know, Joe, would there be any legal ramifications for you if I played one of those songs?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, the idea that that there a part of us wants to move past our fears and our limitations, but another part of us feels like that's my survival. That's who I am. Don't you dare mess with what has kept me alive for all these years. So I wrote this song from that part of me that just wants to be safe and doesn't want to go into the unknown and challenge my limits. And I wrote it as a complaint to God.
Okay.
You tell me to keep breathing, that your love is guiding my way. Why does my little ego want to say, don't take my pain away from me? Don't leave me here without my misery. 'Cause if I let go, what might I do? This waking up is hard to do. Remember when I held on tight? Got so much pleasure just from being right. Now pointing fingers makes me blue. This waking up is hard to do. They say that waking up is hard to do. So many years of sleeping through. Don't say maybe I could. Instead of waking up, I'd rather hold on to my victimhood. Now, in the interest of our 30 minutes,
Sure.
I'll stop there.
Yeah, I love it. That's wonderful. So I gotta know, as a performer, as a lover of art, what was the first concert that you saw that made you think I want to do that one day?
Mhm. Yeah, that was actually my first teenage dream was, wow. And but I never dared to really seriously consider being a rock star or just because at that time I had such a strong judgment that I didn't have a good enough singing voice. So even as I was writing songs, my dream was maybe I can sell that song to John Denver.
Yeah,
Maybe, so my dream was to be behind the scenes, a little bit like Carole King. She spent years writing songs and never thinking she had a good enough voice to sing.
yeah,
And James Taylor drew her out.
sure.
So for me, I I I was writing these songs and I couldn't imagine, especially the funny ones, anyone else singing them.
Yeah,
And so one day I took a fire walk, Tony Robbins, walking on hot coals, cool moss, and it was so empowering that feeling I can do anything. I can do anything. What do I really want to do? And it just blew me away. I want to sing.
yeah,
I
yeah.
want to sing. So this is a really cool story. May I tell it,
Yeah,
Joe?
please. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I lived in Greenwich Village at the time, and I used to sing under my breath while watching the doo-wop singers in Washington Square Park. They were so good,
Yeah,
and I was like, I could never be like that. I mean, that is the best music. My friends, we would go into the village. They would plant me there. They would go drinking or whatever, and they knew I would be there in 2 hours. So one day, uh, somebody in the professional circle said, "Hey, does anybody know the lead to that new Billy Joel song on the radio, The Longest Time, which would lend itself to their doo-wop?" And no one in their little circle knew it enough to sing it. So they were about to go on to the next song when I, in the audience, said, "I know it." And they said, Oh, oh, hey, come into the circle, kid. I was a kid. So they started do 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 do, and I said, "If you said goodbye to me tonight," and they went, "Ooh." Anyway, got through the song, got a little clap. I walked away in a dizzy trance-like state, going, "Oh my God, I could sing.
Yeah.
I could really sing with their support." I was lifted into a place where I sounded even okay to myself. So long story short is I went and took singing lessons and started to sing my own songs and never looked behind me.
So, who's been an inspiration for you in your work and your purpose from mindful masculinity to helping people get to a better place in their lives? Who's been that bedrock for you?
There's been so many. Uh, some of them are, kind of famous. Alan Cohn, an author of like 50 books, who I lived with in New Jersey. James Twyman, who I live with now. These are people who teach by telling stories, even sometimes jokes, dirty jokes, who reveal themselves in a vulnerable way, who are not pretending to have it all together. All of those things have been very important in what I want to do with my gifts. And then
So,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, no, I'm just
I've had a lot of coffee, so
no, no,
I
no,
may.
you're good. No, you're good. And I want to make sure that we delve into mindful masculinity. I know
Yeah, yeah.
personally there's just so many patriarchal things. There's so many antiquated notions that go into the male in our society, And I know for me personally, I've worked my whole life to get rid of all those stereotypes and to completely be me and to be me in a mindful way and to be mindful of the
Hmm.
femininity that's around me and all of that. So my
Hmm.
question to you is, give me the abstract of what your book is about and what you're going for and what you hope people change.
Okay. Do I have time to take one big juicy breath?
Oh, please, you can take a few.
My book in an elevator speech going up to the 10th floor. Gee, you know, it's it's a collection of short stories, memoir, true stories, uh, poetry, comedy, and lighthearted but deep conversations about what it means to be a man and how to separate the wheat from the blah, blah, blah. It's separating what we've been taught from all the role models, John Wayne, James Bond, Andrew Tate, Donald Trump, separating the role modeling that we've had from our fathers and from our culture from what, if we can strip that all away, what is raw? What is God given? What is innate in our masculinity that would be there if we didn't have any training from society? And what I have found is that when I strip it all away, I want to serve, I want to protect, I want to create, I want to go past boundaries. If I have a fear, my masculine side says, okay, let's move towards it. So that's the essence of masculinity for me is courage and service and protect those that are more vulnerable, needy, uh, desperate, that kind of thing.
And I think it's totally essential in this new world that we're in right now with the political environment, with the role models that are out there, all of these things that are getting emulated that are just really not genuine. And they're not the way that we're going to foster a better tomorrow and a better crop of kids. It's like I think we absolutely have to be mindful. Um, so do you have a poem that you can recite from the book?
Yes,
I'd love to
yes.
hear it, please.
All right. So there's a lot of attention in the book about the critical voice that is in both men and women that is based on the belief that you're not enough the way you are. And if I whip you in shape, if I push you, if I guilt trip you, uh, through the fear that you'll feel, you'll be motivated to be the best, to do better. So it's the belief that you can be inspired, motivated, and driven by fear and guilt, which is very prevalent in our culture. And so I use poems to help people be mindful of that voice so they could, because knowledge is power. You can choose out of something as long as you know what's going on. Most of us don't. So that's the purpose of the book, is to help people be mindful. So if you can admit that you do have an inner critic, then you will enjoy this. So the critic will travel with you on this earth and be your companion for worser or worse. It pretends it's your friend, your bestest amigo, and it pours on the guilt. That's the beverage of ego. It's there to protect you, to help you be strong. So it has to remind you you've done it all wrong. You're weak and you're lazy and you don't have a clue. That's your drill sergeant critic trying to motivate you. Your critic wants you to be all you can be. So it gives you these pep talks all day and for free. Oh, the places you'll go and the guilt trips you'll travel as the critic plays judge and bangs down on its gavel. But you always can get some relief from your shame by projecting it onto the others you'll blame. For that is the critic at its beastiest best. It nurses its grievances close to its chest. Republicans, liberals, your parents, your ex. The world is just teeming with folks to correct. If only those fools could conform to your ways, you could get on with life without further delays. Now, that's a 7-minute poem. So
Yeah.
I just did the first three
Sure.
minutes. It has a happy ending,
Yeah.
but let's leave it at that.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love the flavor of it. So I'm curious, when you look at this modern landscape of humans that are around us, who do you see that's a good example of mindful masculinity?
You, I can tell. Me, I do believe.
Yeah.
Uh, Out there in the world, Stevie Wonder, I don't know why he comes to mind.
Yeah.
But look, even Mother Teresa. So it can be women because uh, the energy of masculinity is what drives us. It's being driven by something other than fear and trying to prove your masculinity or, escape from that sense of inadequacy. It's purpose-driven energy that moves through obstacles to its goal and then sees the next goal and moves towards that. So that is the energy of mindful masculinity because everybody has hopes, goals, dreams that will kill you. In other words, your ego will have to die to get to where you long to be. And it's the masculine side that moves you in the direction of something that scares the shit out of you.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. You're doing something that is going to send ripples and it's going to affect people. It's there's a purpose to what you're doing that's very motivating to people. And you have to give a lot of yourself to be a part of that. But you're a human being that needs to develop and evolve yourself. What gets you up every day? What is the motivator for you to be you and to do this work the best way you can do it?
Well, what really gets me up is the need to go to the bathroom. Now, so the question really is what motivates me not to get back into bed?
Yes, that's it.
Uh, I would say the excitement of being able to make a difference, one heart at a time, one person at a time. My coaching practice is, it's just so helpful for me to be able to be trusted with people's vulnerability, and then my creativity. Being able to write stuff and have other people appreciate it. The comedy, if I didn't have a light side, my heart would be breaking too much.
Yeah,
And the music, I have my guitar everywhere I go. I break out into song.
yeah.
This was what gets me up in the morning.
So what's been one of your favorite client success stories or one of your favorite letters that you've gotten about your book? One of your favorite responses?
Yeah, I used to have a collection before the internet of handwritten letters, uh, and then now there's emails, and I don't feel particularly good at receiving compliments, and yeah, it's one of my blind spots is like I freeze up when the audience starts clapping, give me a standing ovation. There's part of me that says, "Bring it on! I want it! I need it! I love it!" Another part of me is like, what do I do?
Yeah,
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I
yeah.
can't let it in. I don't know if it's unworthiness or some trauma that I haven't released yet, but I do freeze up, and that that's where I'm at. I don't even remember
Yeah.
one in particular.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. So let me ask you this. Of all of these things that you've done, overcome, and evolved into in your life and accomplished, what are you ultimately the proudest of?
Mindful Masculinity, the book, and soon to be a movie. No, not that I'm aware of, but yeah, first of all, I had the feeling after each book, I've got more in me. And after this book, I was like, if I die tomorrow, I've left my legacy. And I'm willing to surprise myself and be inspired to write something else. But it does feel like that my heart and soul, all of my life experiences, everything I have has gone into that book.
So as we are entering a new year and, and an odd political chapter and all these things that oscillate around us, are
Mhm.
you hopeful for humanity? Where are you at in that whole like place in history and the future ahead?
Well, I do see from I think I bought it on Etsy or eBay, but I have a macroscope, and the microscope sees destruction and the absence of love and balance and well-being and our leaders and all that. The macroscope sees a system that never really worked, that's foundation has been based on an assumption that doesn't really exist. And that assumption is we're separate. We're separate from each other. That it's possible to win at somebody else's expense. That is coming to a head. And like a pimple, it gets worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
So I see our political system now, in a sense, it's breaking things down. It's making things so bad that it's coming to a breaking point. So I wouldn't even say hope. I have uh, certainty, optimism, I don't know what you would call it, that no matter how bad things get, what's going to arise, the ashes from the phoenix or whatever, what's going to rise is human beings, however many there are left on the planet, who are in touch with their true nature and who are dedicated to a loving world that is working in harmony with Mother Earth. That's what's arising from the ashes.
So Scott,
I, no doubt. Yeah,
yeah,
I
no,
don't
I
have. Yeah.
that's so well said. So well said. And I totally agree. So I'm curious with all of these myriad of things that are a part of your creative and collective catalog, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, clients, fans, readers, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
First of all, I love the question,
Thank you.
and second of all, first thing that comes up is fear. Like like that. Uh, there was a football player who was called the Freezer or the Fridge or whatever,
Yeah.
and he like took a young man and he just pulled him up like he was going to hurt him, and he said, "Tell me what you are. What do you stand for? Who are you? What do you want? What do you really want?" So that's how I feel in this moment. All right, I will tell you. I am a ever evolving being who likes to laugh, hug, and sing. I am one who goes where no Scott has gone before. I am one who wants to peel away every illusion and get to the core. I am one who's not afraid to face my fears. and sometimes withdraws and has a few beers, and then maybe judges those beers and my drinking. But I know that it comes from what I've been thinking. So I'm really curious what's going on up here, knowing that this thing creates all my fears. So I'm mindful and mindless. I'm good and I'm bad. I'm happy. I'm peaceful. I'm angry. I'm sad. You try to put me in a pigeonhole, Joe, and guess what I say? Like Nancy Reagan, no.
That was masterful. You took what I was hoping to do at the very end, which was a poem, a way to kind of end cap, and you totally blended them together. It's perfect. So, if anyone wants to pick up a copy of Mindful Masculinity, they want to reach out, they love what you're doing, they want to get
Yeah,
coached, where do they go?
simple. It's simple. www.scottsongs.com. SCOTTSONGS.com. If you scroll down the homepage, you'll come to everything coaching, poetry, my books. You click, you go to Amazon, you buy. I would suggest the Audible for Mindful Masculinity because I add over 3 hours of music and comedy and poetry bonus material.
And that's becoming kind of a standard. I know personally, I love listening to audiobooks and to listening to multimedia, so it's perfect. Um,
It beats road rage. It
right.
beats, God damn it, I got to get to my
Yeah.
office.
Uh-huh. Yep, it certainly does. Man, Scott, what an evolved, wonderful mission that you're on. I really, really dig what you're doing. I think it's so important now in this weird modern world we're living in. And I just feel a kinship to what you're doing, and I respect and admire. So thank you for taking a minute and blending your story with art. It's wonderful. It's refreshing.
Oh, thank you, Joe. Nice to meet you, brother. We
Yes.
are kindred spirits.
Yes, we are. Best of luck with everything. Send my love to Mexico, and hopefully we run into each other again, man.
All right, brother.